Everything?
video.
Okay.
Okay.
Salute.
Salute.
Gross. Cheers.
Cheers.
As usual, wonderful sound.
Yes.
This is almost like a religious ceremony.
Now, down to business.
It is.
Exactly.
It is
Okay.
a religious ceremony.
Business. Two things I've got in mind to toss into the basket.
So you were talking about your big idea.
Oh yeah, I'll throw that on the table in a second. And if there's anybody else wants to throw some more things into the basket, the hat would be good. But still, I think, the two things we've got to address that, to stand on our feet strongly here is that the same old question is if we're having a flurry of scientists and artists coming into the project, we do need to have, some real absorbing things that, energetic things they can do. And
Well,
maybe,
I don't see a
I'm
problem
wrong on
there.
that.
I don't
You
think that's a problem because
Okay,
unless scientists have something that's appropriate,
yeah,
they won't join through. I mean, if a guy comes in and says, he's an ophthalmologist, for example, something he can do.
Well, that's
Nothing
not necessarily
against
true.
my son, right?
No.
That's not necessarily true.
So if he can come up with a way to express the beauty of the aesthetics of ophthalmology, and get with a script writer, and they work something out to talk about
I stand corrected.
the beauty of ophthalmology.
But
no, but what I meant is, let's take one piece at a time.
Okay.
Let's take John's piece.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what we should start with, for
Okay,
sure.
Okay.
and I think it has legs, obviously, as a piece, okay? The thing that, the macro question they'll be addressing in that is how much gravity does it attract scientifically with a collaboration of arts and
Right,
sciences?
that I
Okay.
think is probably the biggest problem with it, as far as the
So-
context of the DNA of creativity. By itself,
Of course,
Great.
okay, so there's ways to address that, okay,
Well,
but
let
there's
me,
sensitive
since no
ways.
one's apparently read this, let me say what I said about it. And
No,
I'm
I
not
read
going
it.
to read it. I'm just going to
I
say
did
this
read
thing,
it.
and that is that I think one thing scientists could do is we use this as a vehicle to discuss space flight, origin of life on other planets, and scientists who have biology or astrophysics or
I mean, so it's
astrophysics.
symposium.
Yeah, well, they want lesson plans. Okay, here's a lesson plan. You go up to school, take a DVD of the performance,
Okay,
or maybe just make it specially for DVD, and play it, and then you discuss it afterwards with the students.
okay, but here's the,
That's something that scientists can do, because I don't really see right now why we need any more scientists in this project. We need
okay,
people like stage designers, directors, impresarios to find us a venue, all that sort of stuff.
Well,
So we
here's
get
some-
actors, train actors. We don't need, a bunch of other scientists.
okay, this is a typical Hollywood film problem, okay? Whereas, where your budget's coming from and where the content of the piece fits in
Yeah.
harmonically. There's many ways to solve that, okay? And that is sort of in a hospitable section in the piece, having something where the multiple scientific input is, you open the door to that.
Well, I think the piece does do that.
No, I meant in terms of creativity on the ground. If we have a group of 20 people working on this,
Yeah.
okay, and 10 of them are scientists and 10 of them are artists, okay, the scientists are going to be,
I know, but that's not going to happen. There are 20 scientists or 10 scientists in this entire organization.
Yeah, I think that might be a problem, because I think we need to create some sort of project that invites scientists. And I'm just looking at this the way that they want to see it. And I think you're right, but I think that might be a problem.
but there's a way to address it in a number of ways. And that is, outside the piece, like you're saying, you could have a different people in science discuss the same problem that you're discussing.
The problems that are raised in the play, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have that, but I think it would be stronger to have a something in the piece, okay, that allows that input in the beginning.
So you're trying to say
Well-
that there needs to be a hole in the play that you can insert other
Or
scientists?
either that or a compositional collective or collaboration in a
Well,
scene.
I've invited them
or-
to help me work the script.
But no, that's an artistic problem, that's not a scientific problem.
Not
Well,
necessarily.
no, I want the science to be correct. In fact, I just found a paper today on aerostationary orbits. They are stable, they do exist, but there are certain problems with them, but I had the right terminology.
Aerostationary?
Yeah, that's the term.
I know what a geosynchronous
It's
orbit
it's
is.
aerosynchronous.
Same thing, or?
Yeah, it hovers over a certain point.
Okay.
In this case, the Great Ternullian Marsh.
Ah,
And it turns out, according to this Chinese paper, there are stable orbits, although Mars's geoid is somewhat, or areoid is somewhat different than Earth, so they're.
Well, here's a question
Okay,
from.
I don't understand what you mean, because
Okay,
I
let me
know,
be more.
because first place, I think I know more how scientists think than you do. I think it's gonna be
I
hard to
think we
attract.
all can agree on that.
Okay, then let me put it this way,
I'll agree.
Kaz, in the people that you've met there, what's the different fields in science, even if they're, not plentiful? Who's
Physics and me,
That's it?
Well, there's some biology people.
Yeah.
There was Portia, she's a biologist.
I don't look at her.
Do you know what kind?
She's got things to deal with UCSD. She was involved in helping us get a invitation to go to Cal IT2, which is a big engineering
Yeah.
space there at UCSD.
Yeah.
And we all went as a group. And if you go to the DNA of Creativity blog and go way back to the very beginning of it,
Yeah.
you'll see pictures of when
Yeah.
we went to it.
Yeah, I went to the grand opening of them.
And it was pretty cool. And then I just went to this meeting at the Hera Club a week ago.
Yeah.
And I met two scientists there that were interested in possibly participating.
In what field?
One of them was in biology. Again, he is working on creating little cells that attack other cells. I mean, you jump in anytime you feel like you can help me on this stuff, because I can't remember the exact terminology or something.
He's an
But
immunologist.
yeah, exactly. He was an that's right.
Immunologist.
Yeah. And he was working on things, and he was talking about some really interesting properties of cells, how they behave. It made me think of human life as fractal, because they have characteristics that we have,
Yeah.
and on a cellular level.
Yeah.
I thought it was fascinating. Then another guy, he teaches at UCSD and is involved in Cal IT2. And he
Is that biology too?
it was those guys work with visual. This guy was had an Indian name, Sukumar.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, for example, could they give us visual staging ideas?
certainly they could be involved in. It depends on. Are you talking about on this project?
Yes.
On this project. I don't know how. Just like John says, I don't know how to get other people. If there's any room for any creative collaboration, it doesn't seem like it. In this
Never
particular
say
case.
no, just say no to no.
Well, let's see what he's talking about, where,
Yeah.
we get astronomers who specialize in
Sure.
space travel and that
You
kind of
can,
thing.
on the lesson plans and on the educational aspects, certainly they could be,
Well, even on making the play,
But-
more, like making that part of the play more accurate,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
scientific
yeah.
part.
Yeah,
Because the play is all about the
Well, see-
clash between science and
but
science fiction.
but
so-
it's really the people in this would be like planetologists,
Right.
But in other words,
astronomers.
who do we have?
Yeah.
What keys up top do we have?
Well,
You're saying we have a biologist and a physicist?
I might be able to recruit Jeff Beta or Christopher Wells. I mean, I haven't talked to these people. That's the thing, and this thing is, normally when you write a grant, you have collaborators. You approach the collaborators and get letters of agreement with them first. And they don't seem to want to do this or give us time to do that. In fact, I'm kind of worried that, we have a week to get this done.
Mhm.
It has to be in the 30th. And, it's time to sit down.
About 10 days.
10 days,
Well,
right.
we're fast
Well, we're
forward,
probably got,
so-
from my understanding, I think, Patricia, once we get it in,
Yeah.
they're gonna look at it and then they're gonna help us refine it to make it
Oh,
more
really?
viable.
I
The
get
thing
just,
is,
I
that's
get,
my
There
other
seems to be a
question.
little bit more time
I get just the opposite,
feeling.
My
yeah,
other
because it
question is,
says-
did you send this thing to Patricia yet?
No, I've not.
Why don't you do that?
Well, because I'm
Let's
not,
get some
I did.
feedback.
No, I think we need to send the whole thing.
No, hang on. There's a good idea in that. Because if she's introduced to it on the ground, okay, there'll
She is a
be,
part of our board.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
okay,
she is
there'll
part
be
of it.
more of a feedback and more of a interest than just presenting it out of the blue, and we can get,
She's aware of it because she monitors the board. She actually watches these videos. The only person I know that's actually, well, no, besides Michael.
okay,
in
but I
New
mean,
York.
if she had a
Mike
chance
Winkler,
Mike
to,
Winkle, he's
if she had a
watching
chance
too.
to read this and give us some feedback about her editorial position too, that it would
Well,
save us a lot of
what I'm
time.
not sure is that.
Did everybody read Michael Winkler's address, that he's done a lot of grants and that sort of thing, and that he would,
Yeah.
we might want to, since he's a part of our board,
Yeah.
we might want to run it through him.
Where is he anyway?
New
New
York.
York.
Uh-huh.
But as long as we throw it up
Yes.
on the board,
Yeah.
then he'll,
Needs, something needs to be put in by
Well,
that date.
it says,
Something.
it says incomplete, will not be considered.
Yeah, okay.
So the question I was going to ask, because I have not sent it to Patricia, simply because I don't know how serious she is about this one, so we're competing against her.
Competing against her?
Well, is this thing of this?
I think hers is
Theoretical?
no, I think hers is probably a
What are
go.
you talking
Although I
about?
don't see a whole lot of
What are you talking about?
room for the sample.
what is hers?
The sample application is Patricia's idea, and I think
And what is
that
it?
one's
I haven't seen
already
this.
been
Yeah.
blessed.
Yeah.
And what is the project?
It's
Have you read the sample
augmented,
application?
augmented reality, cell phone app.
Oh, okay.
What about social scientists?
Hey, that's.
What about social
yeah.
scientists?
Well,
I love it.
That's a good.
Because
Okay,
that's,
but here's
Well,
the
I
whole
think that
deal. What you
sometime
guys
during
are-
this meeting, I'd like to read you the blog that I just put up, because,
I read
We'll
that.
go.
We
Oh, you
looked
did?
at it. Yeah, before we came.
I looked at it earlier
Did
to
you see
refresh
it?
my memory.
What
I
did you-
haven't seen his yet.
well, I think I should just read it out
Okay,
loud
go
or
ahead.
something like that.
Well, let's
Well, wait a
finish.
minute, but it's
Okay.
about his project.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's finish.
this.
Yeah, this is about yours.
Yeah. Well, let me throw out 2 or 3 ideas in just footballs, okay? Soccer balls. One is, okay, if we have scientists collaborating on whatever scientists we have to mention that in the proposal. Their involvement. Okay?
I do.
Well, in other words, you do in the educational part, but not in the creative
Actually,
collaboration
I
part.
do actually mention
It's not salient then.
that. Okay. Advisors and collaborators.
Yeah, but it needs to be.
Actually, I don't
more-
mention other scientists, and you're right on that.
It needs to be more
trying to
specific.
talk about what the other people here add to it, because I don't really know.
Okay,
and that's
then,
one of the things
that's
I need
one
to bring up.
idea, okay?
Oh,
We
yes,
could
I agree.
suggest that,
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Number 2, we could suggest something else, which I know is hard. Remember, we were just talking about my idea, identity protection? Charles Lucy.
Yeah.
Is that if there is an option, an invitation, say, within the piece itself, okay, for some personal scientific input from the people that we might have
Yeah,
from the
okay,
group.
that's easy to add.
Okay, in other words, and that could, albeit in any whatever departmental field they're in, whether it's biological imagination or physics, new physics, or
Yeah.
sci-fi, what do you call it, quantum
Yeah,
mechanics,
yeah.
whatever it is, you know, we could add those.
Actually, I said month 1 and 2 here.
But we
I
could
said
add-
current and newly added board members and advisors, solicit advice and criticism.
Okay, so.
Saying I'm
but-
gonna write an article, I'll write it, play it, then it'll be criticized and expanded by
But to make that clear is, in other words,
including
there's
scientists.
whether a
Yeah.
creative collaboration of other scientists on various parts of staging or scenery or the spice, you know, the cherries on top of the way we're going to do this. That would include.
You know,
I'm throwing footballs, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw one out as well. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe, like, maybe you alluded to this, that the scientists, other scientists could look at it and refine the script in some way to make it
Yeah.
more pointed.
Yeah.
Okay, there's, like John said, there's a little bit of a danger in that, because in artistic endeavors, once one person has a vision, it's powerful, and you don't want to pull it apart. You don't want to do the Chinese by committee. You want to leave that person's vision, because it's more complex than you absolutely know. The little parts
Oh,
are...
I know exactly what you're
what I'm
saying.
saying. So follow the light of what, you know, and also the sensibility.
That doesn't mean that there can't be collaboration, though.
Well, but it, you know, everybody needs to have their, like in jazz,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the
Their part.
instrument that they play, you know, and so that they play best.
All jazz should sound like Cecil Taylor.
Oh, wow. So anyway, to those, just maybe adding those two things, and if we can think of anything else. you
Well,
know,
okay,
See, I've thought about this completely artistically and stage-wise and everything, and there's just a load of fun we can
yeah,
have.
I'm
with
in
it.
fact saying, you know, okay, but there's things, you know, fine, I'll certainly add that, but we have to be more concrete, I think, right now.
Well, see, the thing is, if we can get
I mean, like I
an
didn't.
idea of who else is in the group that can offer what in science.
We don't know.
Okay. But I mean, he's been to a lot of meetings. He was,
No, but the part of this thing is it's an open,
It's an invitation.
it's set up that way.
Yeah, but we got to be smart on the ground too. We can start in the air. We can have airmen and groundmen, but we've got to have both. You know, and we don't want to waste our time of just.
But we don't
making
want to shoot ourselves in the foot, fatally shoot ourselves in the foot by not at least appearing very inviting, because that's the concept. It's an invitational that. You say,
Well,
No,
I think
no
you're- I think
confusion.
you're right.
I don't understand.
I think
No,
that
what?
might be I've got two goals in this thing. One is to realize the philosophical concepts in the play. The second is a vehicle to present microtonal music in place of the orchestral and theremin cliches of media science fiction. Now, if you want to have a third goal, to invite input from.
Well,
Did
here's
you
the
put that
thing.
in there about the microtonal music?
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wish you guys had read this. That's why I
No,
sent you
yeah.
a 3-4 days.
No,
Alright.
Well, here's
No
the
one's read it. I
thing.
mean,
John,
I understand you
listen.
because you didn't.
Yeah.
Listen, here's
Yeah.
the thing, this is
Okay.
very important, okay?
Okay.
Is when you go to motive in an idea, which is always important, okay? It's very honorable to, you know, show motive, but when you're involving other people too,
We just only made 3 because I thought it was read it.
one is wet and
And
it's over
and
there.
it dissolved. But yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead. Just, we can discuss that. I need that one back. But
in other words, motive can't be autocratical when we're involving a lot of people. So what I mean by this is that those two motives are genuine and they're good, okay? But also the context in which we're trying to make this a reality has motives as well,
yeah,
okay? And so we have to address those.
Well,
Those
goals,
motives,
goals.
call them motives.
What they call them goals.
I see a spot for the social scientist right off the
Yeah,
bat.
mark it.
Well, you're talking about modern mythology,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, that's
Isn't that
an
what,
area for
isn't that what that
social
is?
Which I think science fiction is. It replaces religion and to a lot of people.
Mm.
You would do age religion.
Yeah, that's real debatable.
It is debatable. I agree.
God, this hot sauce is the best.
Uh,
Isn't that good?
Really good.
But, you know, if, I can certainly, you know, we can say we have 3 goals, and the third is to
Make it happen.
make more people well. That's the first goal. But that's an implicit goal.
Implicit, right.
Yeah, the goals are, you know, why are we doing this? Well, there's certain philosophical things I'd like to express dramatically. Secondly, I'd like to see microtonal music used to do that. And I read over what I said about microtonal music.
You just did, yeah.
You know,
And thirdly-
interestingly enough, I just I'm gonna make a little point, tiny point of order here.
Yeah.
We've come across a lot of cassettes lately. We're over at Sonic Arts, and we played a cassette of a man named John Chalmers. And it sounded like wonderful Mars music.
I can't imagine what it would be.
It was part of your tetrachord thing, where you were kind of changing scales. You were kind of ramping through scales.
What did I play it on?
A some sort of like maybe TX81Z or something like that.
Well,
But I want to.
I wrote a lot of
Roland D20 or.
I wrote a lot of algorithmic things, in which I just had going up, sort of glissando going at various speeds and directions.
Yeah, but anyway, I just thought if there was ever any cool Mars music.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've lost all that stuff because then it flooded my basement and all my.
Oh well, let us make you a copy.
Please do, because I really had a lot of stuff. I wrote a gamelan piece. It's semi-algorithmic,
Yeah.
and I've lost that because I had everything stored in a box and it got soaked with sewage,
Ooh.
and
Yikes.
I didn't even want to touch it. I
Right,
just,
you don't want
Anyway,
to.
we'll definitely try to burn a CD of.
Okay, well, listen, let's temper this.
DX7s, you remember those?
What's that?
Oh yeah.
Yamaha DX7s.
Let's,
I love the DX11, I guess.
really?
Yeah, because it doesn't work. It turns on, nothing happened. I don't know what the battery's dead. I asked Brian. Brian thinks what it is. I shut it off from my computer through MIDI.
Uh-huh.
So unless I get it back connected to a computer, which I don't even have that computer anymore, and then send the command to get it to turn it on, it won't work. I don't know. I haven't had the time to. Fucking run it.
I think it's a battery issue, because I've seen DX7s go down like
Are the
that.
batteries available? I mean, you have to send it back to Yamaha?
I don't know, it's a good question.
By the way, we're on a pause here. We're just kind
Well,
of.
let's do
A
this.
few years
Let's,
ago, you
Yeah.
could get them, but now I don't know.
let's temper this a little, fine tune this, the
Okay.
presentation a little
Okay,
bit with
okay.
those 2 ideas.
Okay,
And,
what are the 2 ideas? Because
You wrote them down,
well,
okay?
I wrote them down as to greater scope for
scientists,
scientific collaboration,
right?
uh,
And also
in aesthetics, not education.
well, yeah, and then also.
I have the education that I've covered. Yeah, no, this is very helpful to me because I want to get this thing done in the following week. Because you know, the weekend there's a gamelan concert. You know, maybe.
Well, I want to see that.
I got to think today. I don't know whether you have to buy advance tickets or not. Last year there's plenty of seating. And
Yeah,
so I just thought
it's going to be sold
I just thought
out.
I'd get there at 5 o'clock or 5:30 and buy a ticket at the door, because otherwise you have to pay $2 or $3 extra for an advance ticket. It's an easy place to find too, it turns out.
Well, let's move to Kaz's situation.
Well, are we finished with this yet?
Well, there's
The only
two elements there.
Okay.
Is one is what do you call it? If,
greater scope for collaboration is the main issue.
yeah, that, and
Okay.
also the 2 ways that fits in. You know, one is what do you call it? In staging, but also in
And well, script development.
yeah, and you know, as I said, you know, one has to be careful, sensitive in that in terms of vision, because you've got the vision of the piece,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that you know, you might want to.
And I can play a Nazi very well from my stage experience.
You don't want to do that.
I know.
No, that's nice. Okay.
Nice guys go to gas chambers.
That's
A
not
Martian
true.
Nazi.
They make bad movies.
Yeah, they do make bad movies. By the way, this is something crowdsourcing to raise money for what's on the paper there. You know, we have to raise money somehow, and I can't even address that at this point. Now,
Okay.
one of the things, as long as I've got everybody's attention here, what are you guys' skills and contribution to this? I had you down as an impresario. You have experience in staging, and you have contacts in lyric theater in various places. And you and Jonathan do music.
Right.
Kaz is artistic.
John, listen, I'm in the arts and music
Yeah, I
for
know.
real.
I know.
Music for real.
I know that too. I just,
It's just that, you know, we were talking about my extra microtonal endeavors in
Yeah, yeah.
different philosophical forms of, you know, approaching
yeah.
the creative process in that field.
That's what we all share, is a love for microtonal music.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, Kaz could even design the weapons that they need for a big confrontation.
Well, I've always said
would
for
love to do that. I don't know, I'd love to do that.
I've always said for
But my guys
100
I work with, they're all like gun fanatics, they're all engineers.
I've always said for $150 we could blow up LA.
Don't say that too loudly.
Yeah.
That's on the video.
That's
now.
on video.
Oh dear.
I would clean my act because I tend to speak hyperbolically.
Please edit that part out before you put it on. the-
Don't edit anything.
I tend to be hyperbolic.
That was just a warning of what we have to watch out for.
Yeah, yeah, it could be somebody else. Doesn't have to be Arthur
Probably.
Gilligan. In fact, it's not even first on my list.
Wait a minute, I love LA. My sons live there. I can't do that. So anyway, that,
The NSA takes all jokes seriously, remember that.
yeah, so does TSA, Big Sister. But listen, to metamorphose here a little bit is just that some of the same problems are involved in your project too. And they're not exactly the same, but again, it addresses the question of how do we involve.
Are we done with this?
For the moment, I mean, I think he's done a bang-up job of writing that.
Certainly has.
You know,
Actually, I've sent you a copy. If you can't accept your email very good.
I could, yeah, I could, I'd be
I
able to
sent you a
read right
copy.
here.
I sent you a copy to everybody on this thing. Well, I'm just up against it on time.
Mm.
You know, I'm starting back to work next Monday at
You said,
CSD.
yeah.
And I'm supposed to have read the book and be able to discuss it on Tuesday, but
Oh,
that's the night I have to audition again if I'm gonna be in the next play.
Wow.
So, I mean, I finally got my taxes off too, like Helton's, I've got 1 cent sent off, you know. So,
Nice job.
you know, I just want to get this done. There's some things I thought were good ideas on this thing. A friend of mine, which I mentioned in here, because he might be interested in taking part in it, but the question is how well he would work with the rest of us.
Are we on Kaz's?
No, we're not on
Oh,
Kaz's
it's still
yet.
on yours.
Well, do you want to start discussing yours? I mean,
No, we'll finish what you're
what I want to do specifically is discuss formatting this thing, so we know what we're going to be writing up, so when, do you think I'm more or less?
I think you've done a bang-up job.
Oh, good, okay, I'll just read it. Well, I'll go through another cycle.
I just add those two
Yeah, yeah,
features and then, you know,
yeah.
and put them fairly early too,
Yeah.
not late.
Yeah.
And, I mean, put them ahead of the, you know,
Uh,
the read.
One thing I do need to know, they apparently want, if she mentions it 2 different places, so it's not clear where she wants it.
No.
There's a title page on this thing, which lists the members of the team, and I didn't put Ant, and I didn't put Michael Winkler on, because I don't know their addresses. I need
Email addresses?
Yeah, but I don't know if you want, if also they want postal addresses, phone numbers, and everything else on this thing.
No, just put the emails.
Are we still on your,
No, we're just
No, we're just
starting.
talking, this is
Okay.
a general thing.
Finishing up here.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead and
okay.
read your thing. and,
Well, I'd rather us be talking about your thing.
Yeah,
Let's finish up
Okay,
on
okay.
John's thing.
Well, just, you know, I would put those, the
Thanks.
invitational, the hospitality to the
Yeah.
scientists,
Ah.
okay? Put it fairly early on.
Yeah.
So that it reads as, you know, that it's not a, you know, one person, one shot thing. That
Yeah. Well, I'll
there's
put,
some collaborative spirit.
well, I might insert it into goals as well as, and I have to explain later into it. That sounds like a good idea, actually.
The other thing is, I wouldn't hesitate running this by Patricia. You know, I mean, if she can see it from the ground
Yeah.
developing up, she might even have some ideas of her own.
Well,
That's a
she's
good
on
idea.
she's on the board. She's watching the videos of
Well,
these.
maybe she's got some input too that she could give us, you know, that it's nice and creative input. you
Well,
know.
we just edit down the videos
Mm.
and present that. She seems to be hot on them.
I haven't seen one yet.
Actually, that's an idea.
I've watched
Are
part of
they
it.
good?
I
Really?
feel like it sounds like another
What is it, like
Actually-
candid camera or what?
No, actually, there's times when you're talking and you're using terminology that isn't making sense to me. After I look at the video, slow it down and look at it, it's like, oh, that's what he's talking about. For instance, bell curve. You were using the term bell curve, you know.
Uh-huh.
And when we were talking about finding a median or an average
Yeah.
of the audience.
Uh-huh.
And to me, I'm looking for the word median or average.
Uh-huh.
You're using
By the way,
bell
this is
curve.
Kaz's project.
Which is similar.
Yeah, we slipped off.
Shifted. Yeah.
No, that's fine, okay.
That's okay.
Let's
Alright.
talk about,
Here's
the
the
same problems are gonna.
Same problem arises.
So let's talk about
Okay,
that.
so how do we, look, the idea is to make solutions here, not problems.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
let me just, I just posted this,
Okay.
and not
and roll.
everybody's read it. I was thinking about the polyaesthetics proposal and wondering about making snap judgments on aesthetic matters. It seems as though we are encouraging people to do just that. I know that we make thousands of these every day, but how do we separate those which are weightier with others which are with others as normalized or habitual as the act of brushing one's teeth? Or do I dare eat a peach? The science
Eat the
here,
peach.
the
That
science
was a great
here,
record.
It was.
Peach,
I'm
oh,
with
yeah.
you on that one.
yeah.
All his brothers eat a
The
piece.
science here, as I see it, is that of mapping, which is important, or should be, to microtonalists.
Uh-huh.
I guess what I'm asking is, I think that we need to pinpoint exactly where is the science, and what kinds, S in parens, of scientists are we looking for? In addendum, is an aesthetician a scientist?
Actually, an esthetician, I've discovered, is a beautician. Because one of the actresses in our group describes
I know.
herself as an
I know.
I had to ask her, what the hell's an esthetician?
That has two meanings.
Because I was
but-
gonna recruit
but a
her.
It
person-
depends on the context, because I've heard, I know a famous art critic who calls himself an esthetician.
Aesthetician?
Esthetician, yeah.
Esthetician.
With the C, not the
I'm from
S.
Oklahoma, you guys gotta come.
You gotta come.
Hey man, I'm an aesthetician.
It's a good thing someone's not from Texas in here and I'd start talking
What
like
y'all
that.
talking?
Well,
He is.
I spent 20 years.
yeah, but
Okay.
you don't talk like a Texan, you know.
No, I assiduously avoided doing so, except for about 2 words. I picked up y'all because it's a useful word.
You know, and you haven't started talking about gun shows or prayer meetings,
I went to a gun show, it's scary.
you know.
Anyway, me too, I had a good time.
I was standing behind in
Tucson.
front of a guy who was seriously said, you know, if everybody carried a gun in this state, I think everybody will be a little more polite to each other.
Well, he's right. He's right in that.
Spoken like a true Texan.
Amen.
And
You
it
would be
was,
more polite.
it was scary. There was people
So,
in there.
Kaz, listen,
There were
Sam-
big people, you know.
Big
Sam-
beef eating people.
And those are just the women.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, these guys, there were people there who could tear me in half, they wouldn't need a gun. You know? Anyway, I think you raised some interesting points in that thing, but I think Kaz's thing,
Yeah, I don't see any problems. I mean,
I can think of,
reiterate one of the problems.
I can think of at least 3 different kinds of scientists.
You're talking about scientists. Okay, that was one of the things that was.
Social
When-
scientists.
When as I'm visualizing this, is I think the most interesting way to do this would be to assign the corners of this cube to we either pick, I don't know how much time we're going to have, if we have time for 8 skits or just 6, but you could pick 6 corners and assign each corner to a team. And they write their own scripts, they get their own people. Now on the end of the cube that deals with the aesthetics of thinking, you're going to find, you know, the scientists, you know. And so those, and that could be anything, whatever you want, you know. we're back
Do
to
you-
glorifying the aesthetics of their particular science, whether it's,
Do you
know,
still have
botany
one
or
of those
whatever.
papers with you with
I
the,
don't have one with me.
yeah? Because we could do an experiment right here, right now, that would delineate, how that thing would play out. I could do it like a 1 second nano play, and then we could all vote of where that.
No, the thing isn't for you to do one. I mean, if you do one, yes, we could talk about it. But if you picked a corner and didn't tell us and did it, and then
But that's what I have in mind, because of what he just said,
Yeah.
is that there might be all of the corners operating together all of
because
the
the
time.
middle is the gray area.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's where you get all the aesthetics and polyaesthetics mixed together.
Okay.
But at the corners is where you try to isolate yourself and only deal with those particular aesthetics.
Okay, what if I did this play, for example, for 1 second, and then you decided, and you decided, and you decided, and you decided which corner that goes in? Would that give us an example of
Well, let's delineate what the
corners are?
What the corners are. It's purposeful.
Do you have like a little piece of paper and some pencil we can
Right,
pass
right.
out and
Sure.
get
I
a little
certainly
scratch
do.
paper and pencils,
We're talking corners.
Or why don't we just say it?
vertexes, corners, whatever you want to
No,
call
just
it.
thinking, because if we do this as a cube,
Yes.
then it's basically face to face is where the action is.
Action would be in face to face or in the corners, really,
Well, in the corners,
because you have the 3 dimensions.
yeah.
The corners are where you
The corners
specify
are
each
the
individual.
corners is where the action is.
That's what
Yeah.
you want.
The
Right,
corners
right,
of the
right,
faces.
right, right.
We're talking about on the face,
Yeah, yeah.
the corners of each
Yeah,
face.
I was thinking,
In fact,
in
I
the
don't have
midpoint,
access to
the
you.
midpoint where you
Some
face,
is for myself.
you actually have a pure.
That you have a pure in one axis,
Yeah.
but you have a neutral in
Yeah,
another.
Yeah.
And at the corners, you have pure in all different
I just
axes.
want to clarify that. Did you
Look, we
agree
can
with
even
me
do
that
calligraphy.
about 7 or, take things more simple, there were like 7 or 9
I think we
distinctions?
7 or 9 what?
Distinctions? Did you get my follow my argument?
I'm not voting because
7 or 9.
Well, I'm saying is that, when people start evaluating things in terms of,
Well,
You
I'm
have
thinking
one?
of let's
Is that your
look
pen?
That's my
like
pen.
3
I
axes.
have one.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I have one.
When we say to the audience, it's like, okay, you just witnessed this.
Yeah.
What's its importance? We're going to give it a scale of 1 to 10 on the importance
give
of
a-
thinking.
Okay,
Okay.
thinking is one, and then what's the other corner?
Well, let's talk about we're talking about axes right
Yeah,
now.
axes.
Okay. On the axis, you have the aesthetics of thinking at one end, and,
Yeah.
and the aesthetics of direct experience on another.
Experience, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Direct
Thinking?
experience.
Thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And direct experience.
Yeah. Okay. Are you guys putting thinking on the left hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish we were in the middle of the page, because that way we could just make a two-dimensional grid. Flip it over.
Well, I'm in the middle of the page here.
Yeah. Put yourself in the
You're the
middle
artist.
page.
Show us what you're talking about.
And put up thinking on one end, and we'll say direct experience
Right.
That's what I did.
on the other, just like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll draw a line between it.
Right.
We have an axis.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And then you get 2 more.
So now let's just talk about. Let's stay in 2D for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Purpose?
Purposeless on one side. Purposeless on the bottom.
Because that's in
Purposeless
hell,
on the
not
bottom.
heaven.
And purposeful, yeah. Okay.
One of the two.
Right.
Right?
And then utilitarian function on the other.
Okay. And which is a positive, which is negative? Useful
Well,
and
it
useless.
doesn't-
It
doesn't matter.
depends. Yeah, an artist would say the positive is the purposeless, and the scientist would say the positive is
Well, now
like
that you
that.
said that, I
I like
disagree.
I think ours is very purposeful. They have a vision they want to communicate.
It depends on the the art.
Okay.
And if they want to communicate, especially if they want to communicate something that's universal, I think that's where you're mixing polyaesthetics. You're getting science into it, because
Yeah.
science likes to deal with universalities, even though they can't really achieve it. But we tend to
Well, let's get
try.
some more
right?
I
corners.
think the
Okay,
trick
so
is
now
that
you've
we
got-
should package these videos
Yeah.
and use these as one of our projects.
We've got this, right?
Okay, I've got this, okay.
Okay,
I do a
so-
third axis like that, but.
Okay, yeah, if you wanted to do a third axis, you'd do it like this,
Well,
Right.
45 degrees maybe, or 30
Right.
degrees,
And then at the top, we'd have design, and at the
Yeah.
bottom, craft.
Instead of purpose,
or-
I'll just do it this way.
Yes,
Can we do it that way?
you can, if you want to do it, you know, across through it,
Yeah.
you can.
And what do you
Design?
call it? You know, what do you
Design.
Does it matter
We'll,
which
we'll
one
say,
is which?
really, in the piece, you know, I describe it as, and I don't know why I always stutter on this. Every time I try to explain it, I always stutter. A expression requiring mental prowess,
As a
design.
Is that's design.
Yeah.
So it's design as a
And
And then a expression requiring physical prowess, which is craft.
Oh, craft.
Okay.
That's
Craft.
So we say craft
Craft versus Kunst.
Wow,
design.
Okay, design.
Okay.
Okay.
boy, this is requiring a lot of this nanoplay that I'm about to
Now,
do.
Yeah,
well, see, but you want to have just a corner, like design,
yeah.
direct experience, and purposeless.
Gotcha.
That's one
Right,
corner.
Right, right,
Okay.
understand.
Another
Uh-huh.
corner would be utilitarian function, direct experience, and design.
Okay.
Another corner would be utilitarian function, thinking, and craft.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is,
Function.
Across from purposeless.
if I get this
I'm sorry. I
correctly,
thought those
is
were
we're
actions.
gonna,
Okay.
we're gonna watch this nanoplay and then we're going to X in these corners where
Function.
our perceptions are.
Right. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to do a little, you want to do a little nano
I will,
play.
yeah,
That's
right.
right.
All right.
That
That's
we're
in a
gonna do.
corner.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Knock yourself
Okay,
out.
I will. All right, this is a tiny nanoplay. It's kind of Ionesco Beckett thing. All right, it's called The Crow and the Bone. Okay, I'm going to be the crow.